We're going? We're going. Hi. Let's talk about your scavenger hunt assignment. Now, my life's a little hectic this week. It is, as of right now, it is Wednesday. I still haven't graded any of them. A lot going on, crazy, bad. But I have looked through them. And this folder that I've got here on my computer is the same as the PDF that I will upload to the Canvas page that is directly below this in the links. And these are basically what I would call the highlights of the assignment. Now, what I mean by highlights is I go through everybody's assignment 3 times when I go through and do the grading. One of them is just to not even look at the pictures, where I'm just looking at the metadata. So I can see shutter speed, aperture, ISO, and get a sense of if you are using those in a way that makes sense, right? The other is where I am looking at the numbers, the file numbers, and thinking of the photo assignment. And another is where I'm just looking at pictures, right? So in a sense, all I've done right now is just gone through and look at pictures and grabbed a bunch of pictures from everybody who turned the assignment in correctly. If you do not have work in here, it means that I don't have your work, okay? I'm almost positive that I put work in here from everybody whose assignment I have as of 12:37 p.m. Wednesday, January 26th, okay? If I don't have your assignment in here, well, something's wrong, okay? But you should already know that by now because I already messaged everyone who that would apply to. So let's talk about pictures. Now, what do I have here? 136 items. I'm not going to talk about 136 individual pictures, okay? But what I want you to get a sense of is just like, what were some of the more creative and successful approaches to each of the different challenges? So this challenge number 1A, 1B, for example, is where you are freezing motion and blurring motion using the same general subject matter. Now, all of these I think are nice creative approaches in terms of the subject matter, etc. But one of the things I want you to look for as you go through, actually, let me just pause and say, all of you, go back, look at your own assignment after this, and just take a look. Ask yourself, what you think now that you've seen what the group did. Now, one of the things that I'm looking for in 1A and 1B, and I think these are all nice creative approaches to it, but one of the things I want you to ask yourself is, do the pictures have the same density? By density, I mean the light, dark. So here, this one and this one, they have the same density, right? One of them is not significantly brighter or darker than the other. This one here, love that frozen image there. We can feel the motion. But note how that picture gets brighter. It means that in terms of that shutter speed to aperture ratio, it wasn't the same. This one was a more accurate, and then to slow that shutter speed down, here you need to reduce the same number of stops on the other side, so the density should be about the same. There's a little bit of fudge room within that, but you want to watch out for avoiding over or under exposure, because ultimately what we're trying to do is capture detail. So like here, this one is a interesting picture, but up here, see how the sky gets blown out in that one versus that one? It's because the exposure wasn't exactly equivalent, and the brighter sky gets blown out a little bit. If you notice, I understand like this one might look good because it's bigger on the screen, but it means it wasn't sized correctly. All of them should be in the range of this right here. Now, number 2 asks you to photograph something so close up that we cannot tell what we're looking at. I thought these were all really, look at that. Oh man, these are all really nice examples of playing with abstraction. And one of the things, now you notice in this one, see how it's blurry? One of the things that this challenge helps with is understanding how close your camera can get to any given subject matter. So if your picture is blurry, maybe you intended that, maybe not, but if it's blurry, make sure that if you didn't intend it, that you can kind of get a sense of why. Now, 3 and 4 are basically asking for a pair of images, but It's asking you to overexpose one of those images. Now, let's see. So here are all a bunch of different images that I pulled out for that. But this one here, let's do a little of this. This one here is a good example of successfully, note the background here. So this picture on the left is darker. And then this one on the right is brighter. Darker, brighter. When I look at the shutter speed, I can see that the shutter speed has changed by 2 stops to allow 2 stops more light to come through in this one. Now, the detail in the background gets blown out, yet there's way more detail in the foreground there. So it's not that either one of them is correct. The two of them together are correct in that they are doing what I have asked you to do. I know from what got turned in, I did not lay this out very well. A lot of people didn't quite understand, didn't quite get it right, what I was asking of you. But this one here, I think, is a good example of a picture where you can see how dark a subject is against the background. But then the follow-up doesn't actually change at all in terms of the exposure. This one here, well, he's on the wrong side of the glass, but it's also pretty funny. So you get, you get fun points for that one. Fun points to be redeemed at your local 7-Eleven. What is 5? Bring your ISO down. Use a tabletop to do a slow shutter speed. So note here, this is a 5-second, nope, half a second exposure. This one here, 1/13 of a second. Okay, all right, slow enough. This one here, 25 seconds. Very nice, long exposure and a darker space. Good work. Number 6. Now, I should point out, with challenges like what we have here in number 6, if I didn't put your photos here, it doesn't mean you did them wrong. It just means that as a balance between the group, I'm just kind of grabbing some from some people, grabbing others from other people. If your photos are not in this slideshow, it is not me saying that photo sucked, dude. It's just me choosing the best of the best and some just sort of good illustration and example for the challenges and the points that I'm trying to make. Now, with number 6, the challenge is to change the white balance. Now, when you successfully change the white balance, so look down here, white balance, manual. When you successfully change the white balance, it means that you should have pictures in there that are a little blue, a little magenta, a little greenish, like you're going to see this change in color across the spectrum. And that is because, there we go, there's the magenta one. And that's because the camera is trying to compensate for the color cast that comes from artificial light. Number 7, photograph a moving object while moving your camera along with that object. So this is a technique known as panning, 25th of a second. Note how the subject is relatively sharp, but the background is blurring. Boom, boom, boom. All of these, I think, are good examples of this effect. Look how this child is running away from this terrifying creature. Now you can see some of these, like there are a few different alternate versions here. Some of these, the light is different, 10th of a second, f22. The light is different in those two, even though the shutter speed and aperture combination are the same. What changed in between it? Why is one so much brighter than the other? Could just be a moment in the world where the light was a little bit brighter. Could be the change in what is in the frame. Even though there are little changes, there are changes within those frames. Anyway, all of those I think are good examples of creative play with that. This one a little out of focus, but still you can see the motion going on there. Number 8, photograph a trace of something that's been left behind. Some nice creative examples here. Number 9, photograph old, new, or young, old, and then now. I guess I could blow those up. I don't know, did I only choose 2? I don't know why. Anyway, number 10 is where you are photographing reflections. Oh man, look at this down here. Look at these people in this tree, in this building. I love what's happening within that rectangle. But one significant pointer I'll point out in this photo, but also would just say like applies to so many pictures here, and applies to, it's the single most significant piece of feedback I will end up giving people on this assignment, whoops, hold up, is to not forget, wait, original ratio, there we go. Can I change it? Nope, nope, nope. Bloop, bloop. Can I change? There we go. Do not forget that your camera can be changed in orientation so you can shoot vertically. You know, I say that just because so many people like are just used to always holding the camera horizontally and photographing in a landscape orientation. But also because I want to remind you that when you are photographing, you don't always have to put the subject matter dead smack in the center of the frame, right? So like here, I've done a version of this. Let me turn those grids off. Photoshop, preferences, guides, grids, slices. They've just, Photoshop has changed a little bit. How do I, oh, wait. Wrong one. View, show grid. There we go. You don't always have to have the subject smack dab in the center of a horizontal rectangle. And so when I look through this whole pile, almost all of these pictures are very focused, smack dab in the center of that rectangle. Keep letting yourselves experiment with the way you are positioning things. This is a good example of where, like, it still takes us to the center, but it's weighted over to the left. Look at these. Look at the creativity going on in some of these with the natural world and the artificial world colliding together in space. Let's see. So those are all the reflection ones. A lot of good creativity happening in those. Well done. 11A and 11B, photograph something you fear, but with two completely different approaches to it. I have to admit, when I grabbed these, I didn't pay attention to the fear part of things. I was just looking at pictures. So I don't have a very good idea of the same fear going on in the two pictures, but I do think that these are all nice examples of just creative picture making. Do note, by the way, the importance of file naming. You know, I gave very specific directions for how to name the files, and you can see from the way that I'm running through them here, it matters. It matters because, in this case, all the 1s, 2s, 3s, etc. are together if you have labeled things correctly. Number 12, I did not include here. It was just another white balance adjustment. You should see the same sort of change in color, but with but it was shot indoors instead. 13, you are photographing beauty. So many lovely examples of just creative play here. All I'm going to say about these is, you know, again, keep in mind, you don't have to always go for the center when you are framing things, but there's nice seeing here, some nice relationships, some nice creativity in the way that you are making those photographs. As you continue, I'm going to go back to this one just because as you continue on the next assignment, make sure that you've watched that histogram that explains, I'm sorry, the screencast that explains histograms, because it's going to help. This picture, if it were a little darker, now it's shot completely fine right now, but in the editing process, it could go even darker. Why talk when you can show? Bloop, bloop. Actually, I'll do this in a way that makes a little more sense to you. Let me get rid of that. Oh, whoops. Okay, so brightness, contrast. Wait, whoops, what just happened there? Oh, I created a mask. Hold up. Brightness, contrast. Bring the brightness down. I just want you to see how that picture gets so much more rich when the density comes down and the contrast comes up. Before, it's a little bit washed out, right? After, color gets much darker and much more rich. Properly exposed, yes, but on the verge of maybe a little bit of overexposure. So watch those histograms to make sure you're getting the proper exposure. Beauty, 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 woo, beauty. Lots of beauty out there. Lots of nice creative abstraction. Yes, yes, yes. Well done. And then, what do we got? 14. Oh, maybe I didn't. I guess I missed number 14 when I was grabbing them, so whatever. Look at your own, and the main thing with number 14 is I want you to see the different color of light as the day progresses. 15, make a color photo lacking color. Ooh, that's a nice example. That's a nice example. That's a nice example. All of these are good examples of where it almost looks like a black and white photograph, but it's not. Yeah. All those really nice examples. 16. What is 16? Photograph the future. Whatever that means to you. Nice, good, creative examples of playing with that. Yeah, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing there. And then 17 and beyond is basically just free shooting. Some of you did not do this, meaning like you turned in 1 and that was it. And you're going to get a point hit for that. You are welcome. Let me remind you, you are welcome and encouraged to revise, resubmit, submit something that got missed previously if there are concerns with the grading on this. You are also welcome to always just come back to me and ask me questions about grading. I'm happy to give detailed feedback. Now, speaking of, let me just talk. I'm going to just press the button so this auto runs, I think. There we go. Yep. And let me just sort of read you the most common little points of feedback. I literally have a page here with bullet points of feedback that I give practically every student. Okay. But I sort of prioritize them differently based on how severe they are for all of you. So they say things like, watch that tendency to center isolated subjects. Notice how often you're making rectangles with one primary subject in the center. Keep working on bringing in multiple elements and creating visual relationships. Let yourself get as weird, abstract, and purely visual as you can. Push yourself outside to shoot during daylight hours. Light is the most critical ingredient. Slow down and think your framing and vantage point a little bit more. Is everything in the frame important? Should you be getting closer? You're often using a wide angle lens, but thus the space gets distorted as you shoot. I'd recommend zooming in first and then pull back when you feel the framing is right. And then keep pushing yourself towards the most creative solutions versus the most convenient. Look at that. Nice. Well done, Marcel. So anyway, there's a lot in that. There might be other comments as well, but those are sort of the main ones that I end up giving practically everybody. Let me know if they don't make sense, if you want to further discuss, if you want to have a Zoom and where we look at your pictures and sort of talk about what's working, what's not. And always just come back to me if you got questions and let me know, and I'll give you clarity as I can. Now, if your work's not in here, hit me, bring it. I currently don't have it, but I'm happy to give you feedback on it once it comes in. Okay, I'm shutting up there. Hope you're well. Good work. Bye.